Hey, you guys, welcome back to another shared news quarantine news update. Today, we're talking more about The Bachelor because let me tell you, we may be quarantined, but a lot is going on in Bachelor Nation, and we have the new show, Listen to Your Heart. We've got a lot to talk about, but before we get into it, if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so we can keep you updated on all Bachelor news. As always, I'm your host, Renee Ariel.
And I'm Fiona Zaring.
And let's just get into it, you guys. So, okay, the new show, Listen to Your Heart, premiered last week. And already, we're one episode in, but it's like full of drama. A lot of people are talking about how like producers are once again heavily involved in another season. For instance, and those of you who have tuned in, you know there was a little bit of a love triangle in the first episode with Jamie, Trevor, and Ryan. And obviously, Jamie ends up picking Trevor. But thanks to producers, the new girl coming into town next week is somehow a friend of Trevor's ex. And she reveals that he cheated on her and he's like not a great guy. So already questions for you guys. Do you think this is them getting too involved? Are you here for the drama? What about you, Fiona? What are your thoughts on this?
Here's the thing. I think we all have such a love-hate relationship with the Bachelor producers because sometimes you watch from the sidelines and you see them meddling and you're like, we didn't need any added levels of drama. Like now we can't just see how this plays out naturally. We were rooting for this.
Yeah.
They ruined it, whatever. But then on the flip side, they give you those crazy moments like all of a sudden Victoria F and Peter being at a Chase Rice concert, and like that was good TV. Obviously
Exactly.
producer engineered. So it's just, I think that's always how it's going to be with anything on the Bachelor franchise. The producers are heavily involved. Let's face it, we love to hate them. Clearly they're geniuses because otherwise we might not have any drama the entire season. And as much as we all say too much drama, no one wants to watch anything with no drama, you know?
No,
So we'll
100%.
see. Hopefully they don't meddle too heavily with this new show, but they're definitely going to be meddling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, guys, it's their job. Like for me, I didn't mind this at all because to be honest with you, and I'm sure we all felt the same way going into a new show in the Bachelor franchise, I was worried it was going to be awful. A big reason I watched it was because I'm in quarantine, but I really liked it. And I think I really liked it because, of course, producers involve themselves and have all these twists and turns to make it more interesting. I do want to bring up a point in the chat. So Nick Network said, can we replace Clare with Jamie for Bachelorette? And well, listen, let me say, I like Clare's Bachelorette, but I want to pitch this to you guys and you, Fiona. What are your thoughts on if they use any of the guys or girls from Listen to Your Heart in the Bachelor or Bachelorette? Could we see some crossovers?
I feel as though we totally could. I think producers always keep their eye on the pulse of like who are fans tweeting about, who's standing out to fans. And in the same way they bring back favorites who may have gotten eliminated kind of early but stood out to fans for Paradise, I see no reason why they wouldn't be willing to pluck someone if they're talented, if they get the fans involved, if they make good TV and drop them in another season. You know, like if they're the right fit, the right, you know, the right age, the right type, whatever. I could totally see it happening.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna go out on a limb here, and you guys that have watched the show, let me know your thoughts. Is anyone else like super crushing on Ryan from this season of Listen to Your Heart? Because he is so cute. When he sang with Jamie, I was like, surely she's gonna pick him, and then of course she picked Trevor. But Ryan's such a cutie, and if he doesn't find love in this show, I want redemption on The Bachelorette. Clare's season hasn't been filmed yet. If he ends up alone, there's a chance he could be put on that show, and then maybe he'll be the Bachelor, and maybe I'll go on The Bachelor, and maybe we'll get married. Is that too much in the future?
No, I think that was a very realistic chain of events you just set up there. Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch and see what happens this season. Clearly there are some early favorites emerging, but I think that a lot of people were very pleasantly surprised.
Totally agree. Speaking of being surprised, maybe not pleasantly, can we just talk about the elephant in the room with what Hannah Brown said on her Instagram
Yes.
Live?
Yes. So let's just all take a deep breath and accept
Rip
the
off the
fact that
Band-Aid.
Yep. According to Hannah Brown, she is single. Now, this isn't necessarily a shock because she never ever said that she wasn't single, obviously. But during a recent Instagram Live, a fan asked if she was interested in having kids, like what her future as a mother looked like. And she, through answering that question, revealed she wants to be a boy mom, which is cute. She talked about how a lot of her friends at this age have babies, are married, and that if you would have asked her a few years ago, she would have told you that's exactly what she would be doing right now. But alas, she is not. And she said it would take a significant other to have children, and she doesn't
Yep.
have one. AKA, she is single. She's not with Tyler. No quarantine crew official romance has emerged from her time at that house. But again, I don't know about you, Renee, but I didn't find this admission to be very shocking on her part because I don't think Tyler and Hannah walked away from that quarantine a couple. If anything, maybe they were seeing how it went, but we just saw a lot of fun flirtation. Flirtation. So maybe in the future she won't be single and maybe it'll be with Tyler. But for now, we're all reminded she is single. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings?
Okay, well, I was sad. I knew it was coming, just like I knew Taylor Swift would cancel Loverfest this year because of COVID-19. But on that same note, they were super cute during their little quarantine crew quarantine, and I had hope that maybe something would come of it. And as much as I want to say, like, who knows what will come of the future, I think distance does play a big part in it. I know we've talked about this before, and I do wonder if they'll end up finding their way back together. Or, and I don't know if you remember this, but like in her live stream, she also talked about like what it was like living in the house with the quarantine crew and how what was difficult for her is like getting alone time because there wasn't a lot of space. And we did talk about how you really learn about someone when you're stuck with them in the same house, which is why a lot of people are saying there's going to be a lot of breakups with this quarantine. I wonder if it truly did bring them closer together or if it made them realize maybe they're not that compatible. I think we won't know until we're out of this quarantine and they can see each other. But she did also say the only reason why she left the quarantine crew was because she had to be with family, which I also really understand.
Totally. I think you're totally right. We won't have a really concrete answer if there is any future for them down the line for a while. But right now, we know no long distance romance there. Someone in the chat asked, what do we think? Tyler or Alan, her Dancing with the Stars partner?
Ooh.
Do you have a one or the other? I love Alan. I think the thing is, I think Tyler and Hannah have a lot of fun and a lot of great chemistry. And I think Hannah and Alan do too. Maybe she's just really good friends with both of them, but I don't know who I would root for. Do you have one over the other?
I don't know. Here's what my thoughts are on Dancing with the Stars coaches and partners. Every single time that I invest in a season of Dancing with the Stars, which is usually when there's a star that I want to watch dance with the stars, I get invested in some sort of relationship. Like, what's her name? The one from Pretty Little Liars, Jeanette. Do you know what I'm talking about? The one who played Mona? You guys, let me know if you know her name. But I thought her and her dance partner were like for sure gonna get married. And I was like, oh my God, I'm watching love unfold on television. And turns out that they play it up for the show to get points. So even though I think Hannah and Alan are good friends, I don't know how much I believe of like any flirtations we might have seen between them on the show. But who knows? I think whoever she's meant to be with, she will be with, you know? But I don't know if I have a preference.
Yeah. I don't know if I have one either. I love watching both of their relationships play out. I think they're totally entertaining on both fronts. And I also really love that Hannah is like clearly taking the time to focus on like self-care, taking on projects she hasn't had time for, having fun with her family. Like, she is clearly just like trying her best to live her best life in the midst of all of this, which is obviously what we all should be focusing on.
Yeah.
Speaking of somebody else in Bachelor Nation who is doing their best to live their best life under the circumstances, let's talk about our girl Clare Crawley and her poor delayed season of The Bachelorette. Oh,
Yes. Wow, great segue, Fiona. So you guys, in case you don't know, the head of alternative programming just went on the podcast Chicks in the Office, and he talked all about what's going on with the Bachelorette. So basically what he said is like everything's super up in the air. Like they've talked about all different kinds of possibilities, but what he said is things aren't going to be set in stone until they're able to start like testing the contestants to make sure they're healthy and then figure out what they're going to do. He doesn't know if that means they're all going to stay in one place for the entirety of the season. There were rumors that they were like renting out an entire hotel or resort or something for filming. Obviously, that's not confirmed or anything, but like we've heard a lot of rumors. What he seems to be saying is like, who knows until we know. But he did say something on the podcast, which I found very interesting. And he was like, this something like the minute we're able to start filming The Bachelorette in a way that reflects the world today, we're going to do it. And I wonder what he means by that. Because
basically,
yeah.
My takeaway was that they're super eager, but they're accepting the fact that they're not going to be able to do the show no matter what. Once it's safe, it's not going to be able to look exactly how it did before, right? So my takeaway was they're super eager. The minute they can do it safely, they're going to do it, but the show is going to reflect today's world. And if all of this hadn't happened, they'd be jet setting around the world. They'd be in and out. There'd be probably all sorts of things that we're just not going to be able to see. Maybe we will, but they're not counting on that.
Totally.
So it'll be interesting for sure.
That makes sense. I do find it interesting, though. He also said, like, they have talked about the possibility of Bachelor in Paradise being filmed first. Like, there's just a lot of things that they are trying to figure out. But he did say, like, for sure, it's happening. Clare is going to do The Bachelorette, and we are doing The Bachelorette. So I love that. But they also said, he said that that ABC wants to keep the next season of The Bachelor on track for 2021 in January. So I don't know how this is going to work. Like, they would have to, like, logistically, either Bachelor in Paradise won't be able to happen, which I doubt that they'll let that not happen, or things are going to be filmed way later and back to back. And I'm guessing we might not even get guys from Clare's season on Paradise, which they seem to be hinting at if they obviously film that first, which I don't even know how they would be able to, because where are they going to go? People would still have to travel to get there, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
definitely very up in the air.
Yeah. You know what's not up in the air? Pete Weber. He's actually in Chicago, still staying with Kelley Flanagan.
Oh boy, the Peter and Kelley of it all. So basically, we thought for a moment Peter over Easter Sunday was in an airplane, he was traveling, and everyone was like, oh, okay. Peter and Kelley's quarantine has come to an end. Clearly, it wasn't that serious. Well, as fast as he did that, he turned around, got back on a plane, and dropped himself off back in Chicago, and revealed that he will be spending the duration of quarantine in Chicago with Kelley and Dustin. So that's a pretty serious commitment. Since that happened, they have been back on the TikTok making some very interesting content. One of the ones they did was, it's one of those trending audios that a bunch of people have recreated. And it's Kelley asking Peter why he didn't make her his wife, which I think we have the clip for. So let's see if we can give that a watch right now.
You really didn't make me no food.
Did you make me your wife?
What?
It's not rhetorical. Did you make me your wife?
No, you know I didn't.
So you should know I didn't make you no food.
Damn.
Oh my God. Okay. Listen, it's so cringy because he literally didn't make her his wife. Like, he was on a show to find a wife, and he literally didn't make her his wife. And I'm just watching, and I'm like, she wasn't even second place. Like, it's so cringy. But like, at least they have a sense of humor about it. I guess that's good. I love Kelley. I love Kelley. Do I think she could do better than Peter? Yes. But also, maybe they're meant to be. Maybe we're only seeing one side of Peter that's on television. I mean, we don't see him every day. We don't know him as well as we think that we do. I'm trying to give them some hope here. But they also did another one. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but like, they're really hinting that they're together at this point. And like, since they've been quarantined together for like a few weeks now, how long we've been quarantined has been like years already. It seems like they're a couple at this point, because Kelley just posted another TikTok to her story today that I watched. Obviously, it's also on her TikTok, where it was like, when his best friend won't leave, and used another audio that was like, go back to your own house or whatever. And that's hinting that they want to be left alone, which why would you?
Right.
It seems like they're dating. It seems like one of them is going to confirm it at like any day.
I agree. I think that especially like Dustin, who is the friend who won't leave, they all like share the same TikToks across all of their pages. So like, you might see the same thing 3 times, but you're going to want to read all 3 of the captions, because I think they all leave clues. And Dustin's caption for the "why didn't you make me your wife" one had something to do with, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of like, when being the third wheel gets awkward, or this whole third wheel thing is getting awkward, or something like that. And I don't know about you, but I don't refer to myself as a third wheel unless I'm hanging out with 2 people who are a couple. That's just, that's what that phrase typically means. That's what it's used as. And if they weren't 100%. A couple, why use that kind of phrase that carries that kind of connotation? It's just like, at this point, I feel like they might as well just scream, hey, we're dating, No,
I totally agree. Also, side note, Dustin like lives in Chicago. So my question is, why isn't he home? Does he live with his parents? Does he live with someone that's high risk? Like, is there a reason he's also quarantining himself with Kelley? Am I the only one very confused by that? Can someone answer this question? Because I don't understand. Okay, Alba said, I think that Kelley deserves better than Peter, but maybe she can make him mature and be better. I do believe that when you find the right person, they're going to make you the best version of yourself. Obviously, like, you should already be the best version of yourself, but they should help you become that or be that already, if that makes sense. Totally. Maybe Peter is just learning, and he did say she challenges him. By the way Peter talks about Kelley versus other people, like, he said in an interview, and I can't remember which podcast, I've literally listened to them all, saying that he felt like Hannah Ann didn't challenge him, like they didn't that they didn't challenge each other. And it seems like with Kelley, that's what he's getting. And when he talks about her in interviews, he's like, she was too smart for The Bachelor. Like, the way he talks about her versus anyone else just seems like he has her on like a bit of a pedestal, or like really sees her as this amazing person that I don't think we've seen from him before talk about anyone, even Hannah Brown, just the way, because it's more about their chemistry. Whereas with Kelley, he just loves who she is.
Right. And they had an initial connection completely outside of the show, and then went on the show. And again, obviously he didn't marry her, so it didn't work out there. But what it really could be, in my opinion, is they just have a real world connection, like cameras off, their own time, their own pace, not being like literally living in a pressure cooker. Maybe that's where they thrive. And if that's the case, then I couldn't be happier for both of them that they found their way back. I want to acknowledge what Shannon put in the chat. She said, can we please acknowledge what Hannah Ann said about the cauliflower? And then Jenna also followed up with boring cauliflower. Hannah Ann is out there living her best life, and she did compare Peter's manhood to cauliflower, because she said it was boring and bland. So all I'm saying is everyone ended up where they were supposed to be. Hannah Ann clearly is out there living her best life. Didn't feel like it was a perfect match. And if Kelley and Peter have found their way back, more power to them.
Yep, I agree with that. Also, I want to reply to Nicholas, who said that Peter and Kelley are trolls and you're eating this up. I would agree with you if they weren't quarantined together in her apartment in Chicago. Like the fact that he's flying back to let's not forget the guy like has a full-time job. He could easily, I promise you, stay at an Airbnb, stay with one of his hundreds of friends I'm sure he has in California. He's choosing to spend all of his time with this girl who he did have a connection with, and all he has said in interviews is that their relationship was not meant to work out on the show. They had he was saying basically like a real life connection, or the way that their relationship would unfold only really worked out in the setting of real life because she wasn't good on the show. So I think as much as it's like, maybe they're trolling us with these TikToks, something definitely is going on there, because they wouldn't still be able to be living together. And in her apartment, she would have kicked his butt out if something was not going on or they weren't getting along that well. Those are my thoughts.
Right. At least, at the very least, they clearly have a friendship. You know what I mean? Like at the very least, they have a genuine friendship. Should we move on to what might be the most shocking Bachelor news of the week?
Yeah, hit me with it, Fiona. Hit me with the news that shocked us all. I'm so confused still.
I'm sure we all remember Miss Victoria F really stirred things up on Peter's season. She's obviously still out there in the world living her life. And Reality Steve hit us with quite the shocker. He said that Victoria F and Chris, I always say his last name wrong, Souls?
Yeah.
Souls? Victoria F and Chris Souls, according to Mr. Steve, are not only a couple, but they are quarantining together in Iowa. And we all know Bachelor Nation is made up of people that basically could work for the FBI, because any clue that's out there to be uncovered, we will uncover. And fans noticed that the pillow Chris is laying on in an Instagram he posted, and the couch he's laying on, certainly looks like the couch and pillow in the background of a live that Victoria F did with Lexi, Natasha, Sydney, and Victoria P. If you remember, they were all very close on the season. So I guess based on our guy Reality Steve and based on that photographic proof, there is some serious what's the word I'm looking for? There's some serious, maybe factual evidence that Victoria F, yes, proof, thank you, and Chris might be together. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they just are friends. I don't know. All of these Bachelor people quarantining together, it's like you don't quarantine with someone unless something's going on, right?
Yeah, and like I'm now feeling so lame for quarantining with my parents. Should I have just found like an old lost love and then like quarantine with him in his house somewhere in another state? Like, am I doing this wrong? Why is everyone quarantined? Like, what? And also, how did this happen?
So a source told Us Weekly, and this is again just a source, but a source told Us Weekly that he slid into her DMs. So maybe you should be quarantining with someone who slid into your DMs, Renee. I don't know.
Maybe that's my problem. I do want to, didn't they also say like he slides into a lot of DMs though? It seems like a numbers game, which I know a lot of guys that do that.
Yes, apparently the source told Us Weekly he slid into her DMs, but they were like, but he slides into a lot of DMs. So like there's no proof that anything's going on. It's pretty casual. And since that source quote came out, this whole pillow picture proof has also come out. So people are like, if he slid into the DMs, it seems like at this point it was probably successful. Some of Reality Steve's followers are suggesting that maybe it was Natasha or Sydney or someone else from that live that revealed the news, but I'm like, they kind of revealed it themselves. Who knows where the rumor originated from, but these pictures look, I mean, they would have to have the same couch and the same pillows, and like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah, I also think it was a bit interesting that, let's say for sure that is the couch and everything. of all the places she could do a live stream or like a video chat like that, you're choosing to do it in front of the couch that he just posted a photo laying on. I just think that's a little sus. I do want to give a shout out to Heidi Truelove, who said they've both been arrested for a DUI. Maybe that's what they bonded over. Maybe that's what he slid in her DM saying, like,
I mean, obviously they have multiple things in common. They're both public people. People are, you know, like I feel like a lot of people in this world just find bonds. And you know what? The amount of people in the crew, you're bound to have something in common with somebody else who's gone through it. So, you know what? Victoria F may not have been our absolute favorite character on Peter's season, but maybe this will be the next great love story. Who knows?
You know, I hope so. Honestly, I just want everyone to have their happily ever after. And maybe Chris will help her become the best version of herself, you know? But like, here for love, let's forget all the reasons we may not love Victoria F and just be happy that she may have found someone. But before we go, you guys, do you have any questions? Any thoughts? What's going through your head? Do you like Chris and Victoria together? Weird thing to bond over. I agree, but like, who knows? Who knows? Let's see. Any advice for sliding into the DMs? I think sliding into the DMs is super tricky because everyone's different. And a lot of the time, because we have like catfishes and stuff, I think people tend to like I think the reason why it works for Bachelor Nation is because they're all verified. So they all know that they're real people that they kind of have seen on TV and like how they are. So it's easier to have an idea when you're responding to them versus like a random that could be your true love, but you don't know who this person is. And you're only basing off of like 7 photos on their Instagram, you know, and you don't even know if it's them. So I think it's tricky when it's a total stranger. If it's someone you know, I mean, like, just respond to their story. That's what I would do. Like, oh my God, that's a great looking dinner. Let's see. Bond over pineapple. Gosh, I love pineapple pizza. Side note. Actually, fun fact, Lily Marston got us into pineapple pizza, and I hate her for it because I love pineapple pizza now. I can't stop eating it. Let's see. They will help each other. I hope that they do. I honestly hope that Victoria and Chris help each other become the best versions of themselves. I thought Chris was in prison for hitting and killing his neighbor and leaving. I honestly don't know. I remember that story, but I don't remember how it wrapped up. I feel like that was a bit ago.
Right.
But stories are so lame. No, they are not. Trust me, if there's someone you know and you want to slide into their DMs, respond to one of their stories because it's the easiest conversation starter that doesn't feel super out of the blue. Anyways, you guys. But on that note, this was a really fun time. Glad that we're all up to date on what's happening in Bachelor Nation, even when we're doing it from our couch. But if you guys want to keep up with us with all the Bachelor talk, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell because we will continue doing live streams like this and would love to chat with you. But if you'd like to chat with us in the meantime, you can follow me at Renee Ariel on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Where can they find you, Fiona?
And you can find me on all of those same platforms on @FionaZaring.
All right, you guys, we'll see you next time.